Hello, hello, and welcome. This is the recap training for the Pre-Order Profits Challenge. Now, maybe you are someone who didn't have a chance to attend the challenge live, and so I wanted to do a debrief of everything that happened. Well, not everything, because you would need to be there to get everything, but or grab the replay. But I wanted to give a kind of like an overview of everything that we talked about and help you to be able to understand how powerful pre-orders can be. And so if you're watching over on Instagram, I encourage you to head on over to YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. I'm at Shep Publishing there. And then we're going to get started. Now, for those of you who did join the challenge the first day, you know that I had some tech difficulties. The tech was not teching. It was not cooperating. It was acting up. And this is the software I was going to use. It was going to be beautifully laid out. However, we couldn't get it going, and I think I figured out what the issue is. So I'm doing it now. And in the comments, let me know if you've ever hosted a pre-order before and what your experience was with it. So once again, this is a recap of the Pre-Order Profits Challenge, and this is kind of like a sneak peek, a snapshot. Obviously, I can't tell you all the goodness that happened in the 4 days of the challenge, but I can give you a little bit of a preview of, or a review, I guess, of what happened. Hey, Cindy, over on Instagram. And so this challenge is something that I created because I found that there were so many authors who felt that they had only the ability to do their pre-order only on Amazon, and that's just not the case. And often in the author industry, it's a very pervasive assumption that you're not going to make any money with your first book, your third book. I've even seen as high as 20 books, which is insane to me. And so that's why I focus so hard on pre-orders. So here we just have some of the folks who shared the challenge. And so I just want to give them some shout outs and say thank you. And so thank you, Joy. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Juanita. And then thank you, Essie, Bianca, and Renee. And so I already asked this earlier, but we had some really cool flyers that I shared so that way people could let other folks know that they were joining. Okay, so Noah says over on Instagram that you've tried pre-orders and bombed miserably about 3 years ago. Okay, well, it's time to re-up, Noah. Let's try again. There's always time to dust yourself off and try again. And it could just be that you didn't have the right strategy. And so I'll talk about some of those strategies that I shared in the challenge this week. And so just a little bit about me. I'm Ashley. I'm the owner of Shep Publishing, and I help authors to be able to publish profitably, meaning that we focus on efficient and effective marketing strategies. And I'm not somebody who believes that authors have to be broke. I don't think we need to be a part of the starving artist situation. I think that there is a way for us, or there are multiple ways for us to generate income and still get our stories out there, or to still be able to transform people's lives if you're a nonfiction author. So these are some of the places I've been featured, and a little bit about me. I am a wife, I'm a mom of two, and currently a stay-at-home mom for the little one, and my oldest is in school. And I am currently a full-time entrepreneur. However, when I first became an author, I was working full-time as an educator. I was an educator for 10 years, literacy coach for a couple extra years, and then my youngest is about to be 2, which is wild. And so I've been home with him and been doing this full-time entrepreneur thing. And so there's some places I've also been featured. If you're over on Instagram, I'm also going live on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. If you want to be able to see the slides, I just wanted to be able to share that. So I am a moderator and a guest expert in multiple author groups, and so I can really see the pulse of what's going on in the author industry, especially with self-publishing and independent publishing. And so these are some of the places I've been featured and things about me, just to kind of give you a little bit about me. And then I'm also an Uncloned Marketing Pro, which means I am authorized to be able to use the proprietary systems and frameworks of Uncloned Media. And so this presentation is from my own brand, but I do like to share that because I'm someone who invests in myself, and to the tune of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, to be able to have the knowledge that I have. And I want to encourage you to invest in yourself as well, because you can invest your time, your money, and your energy. However, whatever the case may be, you have to be doing something to push the needle forward for yourself. Now, we talked about how pre-orders are something that is very important for your integrity in terms of, I'm sorry, let me flip that up. Let me flip that around. We talked about how having an integrous pre-order is super important. If you are pre-selling something for someone else to purchase, you don't want to do it in the sense that they are going to be questioning where their things are. You want to make sure you're clear with them, give them updates, give them timelines, and bring them on the journey of the process so that they're aware. And so if you are someone who is wanting to create your own advance as a self-published author, if you're someone who wants to make money before your book is out and actually get the money in hand, not have to wait on Amazon KDP to tell you when they're going to send their money 60 days later, then this is definitely an option for you. And then if you are wanting to get a reward quicker for your writing, as authors, it can seem as if we're having to wait forever and a day in order for us to be able to get paid for what we do. And so hosting profitable pre-orders cuts that time down tremendously. And then also I didn't mention below me, if you're looking on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, I actually am releasing a book called Profitable Publishing with Pre-Orders. And with that book, it walks through my entire pre-order framework and process. And so I definitely recommend grabbing that if you haven't already. And you can visit profitableselfpublishing.com to get that. And thank you so much, Noah, for coming on over to YouTube. If you're on IG, come on over to YouTube so you can see the slides and to be able to have a full experience. So once again, if you're on YouTube, or if you're on IG, come on over to YouTube. I'm just doing that so y'all can see, because when you try to stream all in one from this software, it cuts it only to a skinny strip on IG. Anyway, okay, so when we're doing pre-orders, we want to be integrous. We want to make sure we are people of our word, and we want to be committed to customer service throughout the process. And so this is not for you if you are someone who is not going to keep your word, you aren't planning on finishing your book, you aren't committed to keeping your deadlines, and you don't want to communicate with your customers. So if you're somebody who wants to ghost clients, please log off, because this is not for you. And then, so these are all things that we talked about during the Pre-Order Profits Challenge. And then also, if you're closed-minded about the idea of what is possible, if you assume that your path in publishing is the same path as everybody else's, then I want you to break free from that, because that doesn't have to be your reality. Now, I'm going to share some client stories. I'm going to share my own stories. I'll share some amounts of some income that has been made. And these are for, this is legal side. I have to say that these are not an indication of your results. Of course, your mileage may vary depending upon lots of factors. So just throwing that out there. Now, if you are wanting to understand and want to know when you should do what during your pre-order process, then you can grab my pre-order timeline cheat sheet, and then you'll be able to see when you should do certain things, how to map out certain items, and then also I'm going to grab the link for you so you can have it in your, so that you can have it. But if you are watching on a desktop, then you can scan that QR code, and I'll put that in the chat for you. But during this, I didn't explain during the challenge how long to do certain things, because that's so specific to you and your situation. And then you want it to be something where I don't like giving out half advice. So I'm not going to tell you, oh, it needs to be this exact amount if I don't know your specific situation. So this answers all those kinds of questions of how long should you have your pre-order available, when should you start, when should you order author copies, all that good stuff. So go ahead and grab that for the QR code. I'm going to get the link. Sorry, I didn't already have it. But I will put that in the chat for you. And so typically this is one of the biggest questions that people have is, when am I supposed to do what? If you're over on IG, come on over to YouTube so you can get the full experience and so you can watch there. All right, let's keep it going. Now, so this is a recap of the challenge. This happened Sunday through Wednesday, so we are hot off the challenge. And the items I'm sharing with you are from my proprietary framework called the Profitable Publishing Pentagon. And this is something I created to be able to support my author clients with their launches and with their book marketing. So we'll be focusing on the first section, book launches and pre-orders. And then this experience for the challenge, it was part of my level 1 experiences. So those are the free ones. So such as my YouTube. If you're watching over on YouTube, shout out to you. Thank you for being there, and feel free to subscribe while you're there. And then podcast appearances that I have, content on social media, blogs, things of that sort. And then it just goes up the different tiers of different options of ways to work with me. And so this doesn't mean that you necessarily have to start off with the free stuff. It's okay to start in a different level, and it's okay to go backwards if you find that you need to experience something else that's not here. So some words to know that are important for you to be able to understand when it comes to pre-orders is thinking about pre-sales and pre-orders. Those are used interchangeably, and it just means selling something before it's out or before it's done. And then launching is a series of steps that you take in order to release something. So a lot of authors will say, oh, I had a book launch, but they really just did a release, meaning they really just put their book up for people to buy it. That's not a launch. That's just a release. That's not the same thing. And so essentially you just published your book. You just placed it available on Amazon so people could buy it. And then we talked about this a little bit. So during the challenge of talking about, okay, pre-ordering is just the fact of ordering something before it is available for the general public. And thinking about if you should host a pre-order, it's a great idea to really test and validate your idea. And it's something you can use to determine the demand of a product or service to see, okay, do people really want this thing? It's also a way to get paid faster. We talked about that as well during the challenge of not having to wait that timeline for when Amazon is going to pay you. You can get paid yourself by hosting a pre-order on a separate platform, which I'll share in just a second. We also talked about the different platforms to host your pre-order on, and this can look like crowdfunding, which a lot of authors are familiar with Kickstarter, your own website, and then Amazon KDP. Now, I'm a big proponent of hosting your pre-order on your website for a couple different reasons. And so during the challenge, we talked about the pros of each of the platforms, the positives, and then we also talked about the cons. And so I'm going to focus on those because that's the determining factor as to why I suggest people host their pre-order on their website. And it's because you are able to, it has the least amount of cons if you look at from comparison. And then it has the least amount of cons, and then it has, and actually, I'm sorry, this might be backwards. I think I labeled that backwards. Okay, sorry. But some of the high points of why you want to host on Amazon KDP is because you can include additional items with your book, so you don't just have to sell your book, which increases the amount someone might purchase, the amount they might spend to purchase. You can provide tiered options, so just like on Kickstarter, you can add options that work for you to be able to make it more exciting for the reader. You can also autograph your copies. You can't do that on Amazon KDP whatsoever because you won't get the book before it goes to people. And you actually get to collect customer data. And I'm not saying that in a shady way, but saying it in terms of following up with them to be able to continue your marketing with them. And that helps them to be able to have a better experience with you. And then the most important parts are that you can make money before your book is completed. You can make money even if one person buys your book. And that's a contrast from Kickstarter because your project has to be fully funded in order to get any of your money. If you don't meet your goal on Kickstarter, then it gets rejected and then the backers get their money back. And so there are a lot of successes that happen on Kickstarter. However, on average, when I looked up the data, 60% of the campaigns don't get funded. And so it's a risk that if you're going to spend all this time and energy sending people to a platform, why not make it your platform? And then you can also make changes up until the last few weeks of release. Amazon, you can make changes to it. However, they are a little bit finicky and they tend to kick people off of the ability to host pre-orders if you change it to last minute. So that's not something you are going to risk. And so here's some of the takeaways from the challenge. Like I said, this was from Sunday to Wednesday. And so Kendra shared that hosting on her website made a lot more sense to her. A lot of authors feel like they don't have the ability to, but they have to do one or the other. Like, I have to be on Amazon. I have to keep my book on Amazon only. I can't sell it anywhere else. Or if I sell it on my site, I can't sell it on Amazon. And that's just simply not true. And so that was freeing for her to kind of see that there's options both sides in and out of Amazon. And then just Juanita and Lisa sharing how valuable the information was. And then because I have a teacher background, of course, they had homework. And so throughout the challenge, we did different activities to kind of push the attendees a little bit to be able to get some transformations. And then I gave an example of how I do the same homework and some of the results that I've had. And so this was a sample book announcement post. And then just for reference, showing that I got this many likes and then also this much commentary. So I don't just tell you to do things, but I also do them myself. And then the next day's homework was to create affirmations for you during your author journey and author process. So that way you're able to actually spend that time reaffirming yourself and staying on track, because it can get really deflating if you are not fortified. We also talked about launches versus releases versus pre-sales. And so this was a concept that had a couple people stumped. And essentially, your pre-sale is a part of your launch. So you have before your pre-sale and after your pre-sale. And before your pre-sale, you are using things to get people to be aware of you. You're letting them know your book is released. Then after your pre-sale, you're letting them know about the book out on the back end. The pre-sale part is the part where they are actually able to purchase before the book is done. Then throughout, I shared some client success stories. And so this is Erica. She is someone who I worked with to do her marketing for her, done for you marketing for her. And she was able to get $1,800 back in book bundles for her book that is about operations for kids. She's a perioperative nurse. And then Paula Banks, she is a award-winning children's book author and founder of Eon Books. And I did an interview with her, and so I'm going to share some of that to show. Let's see. Okay, make sure it's queued up. Share some of that to show her process and how she actually was able to work with me to be able to sell her books in advance. She won access to the course back in October, the Preorder Profits course, and she was actually. And I'm sorry, I listened to things on 2x speed, so let me slow this down for y'all. And then let me know in the comments if you can hear the audio. The next in this cohort that's starting, and then I did a giveaway just out of the kindness of my heart, and she was the winner. And so she's really taken a hold of the concepts and has really put it into place and put in work. And so talk to me about the books you released before hosting pre-orders. Had you done a pre-order before going through the Preorder Profits course, or was it entirely new?
No, well, I did kind of a pre-order, but it really wasn't a pre-order before I started. So my first actual pre-order after the course was the one that I just did, the book that I just released on March 25th. Prior to that, it was like, oh, I have a pre-order. I would put like a post up for like a day or two. It was really nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. But after I took your course, everything changed. This launch was totally different from any other one that I've ever done. And for my second book, I thought I was doing something great. Like I didn't have a pre-launch. I didn't have a pre-launch, so pre-order. So, but adding that pre-order component in, it really, really changed the game for me.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. What do you feel like was the biggest difference, and what were your takeaways that you used from the course to be able to make this launch different for you?
I guess just having like a plan, a step-by-step plan. Email marketing really changed the game. Like that was like the number one thing. Everything for me prior to that was just going on social media and just doing things there. But once I took going into email marketing and use the swipe files that you gave, it really, really changed. Like it really helped. Like I saw the difference with, the profits that actually came in, the engagement I got from the emails that I was sending, had an automation set up. So it was really structured and it paid off. Like it really helped. When you're doing it, you're thinking like, is this really going to work? Like, is it going to work? It really does. Like if you follow the steps, and it's not all going to be perfect your first go around, but once you keep doing it and perfecting it and figure out what works, for me, the email marketing is what really took me over the top. And getting on camera, like doing something I didn't do before. I started doing videos every week. And that really helped as well. So, the email marketing piece, that really changed the game. People will say that email market, and you're like, but when you really do it and then you see the results, you can never go back to not doing it.
Yeah. And that was why it was so important to include a module on specifically email marketing and not email newsletters, because that's a huge thing in the author spaces. Do a newsletter once a month. And honestly, that's not as effective. And so that was why it was so important for me to include that. And then also including the live ideas, because it can be kind of hard to think about, what am I talking about going on live? What am I saying to people? And so definitely wanted to include that in the social media module as well. So how do you feel like you are moving forward? So with your next pre-sale, now that you've done your first one, how do you feel like you are going to do things differently moving forward for future pre-sales or future book releases?
I think I will be doing email marketing earlier in the process. And now that I have money to go towards my next book. So with me, my book was already done. Like the illustrations and all that was done. So now that I am moving on to, I'm writing my first nonfiction book, that money can go towards editing. So instead of putting that money towards my next illustration, now I know it has to go towards editing. So the money that I made, it goes to my next book. So I don't have to like kill myself trying to figure out, how to save for it and still pay bills and all that other stuff. So that was great. And I had my bundles. I set up bundles. And they sold out.
Oh,
that was excellent. I had a certain amount of plush or pillowy things for the cartoon character, and they all were gone. And that was a lot to do with me sending my emails. And that was the first time I ever sold out of anything. Like,
oh, wow.
Like an actual aside from a book. Like I actually had an actual bundle product that wasn't a digital product that actually sold out. So that was a first for me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
so
exciting.
it was exciting. Um, I was nervous when I started about like getting like building my leads, like getting lead emails.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, what am I gonna do? So I kind of got like a theme, like I started a new book from outside of my regular series. So I utilized that to I kind of banked on people being nosy. So I was like, yeah, Peyton's going away and Marcus is coming in. And if you want to know, you have to, give me your email and then you can go and you'll find out. And
Right.
people really did it. Like so it would take them to a website. I set up a landing page. It had a video. And I just kind of played on like, if you're nosy, you are, go and click the link. So if you
Oh
want
yeah.
to see, you have to give your email address. So that really helped get a lot of like build my list for the
Mhm.
pre-orders. Like that really helped. Just from doing that, just for calling people nosy, and they was like, yeah, I'm nosy, let me go see. So
Yeah, yeah.
that was good. And then from there, I just started doing the weekly emails, updates, kept them, updated on what was going on,
Hmm.
gave them, an exclusive. When the pre-order started, they were the first ones to do it. They had like 48 hours to shop before everybody else. So yeah, everything was really smooth. It was
Beautiful.
a very
Beautiful.
smooth process. And thank you.
Of
I'm
course.
very happy with the program. I cannot lie. It was very good.
Good. That's exciting to hear. And okay, so that's from Paula, and as a point of reference, she participated in my pre-order profits course. And so I want to invite you to be able to have that same opportunity as Paula to be able to use your publishing, to be able to use your pre-orders to cover your publishing costs. And as authors, we know we have lots of options. We can either do it ourselves, DIY, figure it out ourselves, search all over YouTube, all over the internet, do your Googles, and then still be stuck with lots of questions. Or you can do it together with me. And so that's why I'm introducing my Pre-Order Profits Accelerator. And y'all can't see my slides. Let me zoom back. Okay. So introducing my Pre-Order Profits Accelerator. And so this is a program I've created to be able to cover your publishing costs, build your audience, and launch your book to ready-to-buy readers. And so the course that Paula was mentioning, she was raving about that email section. That's in Module 5 of the course. And we do a full breakdown of how to find your readers, how to get them to buy, as well as how to carry on after your pre-order, because your pre-order is just the beginning. And then this includes 9 weeks of group coaching. So you'll be in a group setting with me as well as other authors who are part of the program. You'll get 12-month access to the course. And then you'll also get a backstage pass to my actual case studies. So you'll get a live case study in the sense of you get to see the exact strategies that I use for my own books. And so I'm someone who has hosted profitable pre-orders for all 4 of my books I've released. And I do it consistently. And these are strategies that I actually use. They're not just things I'm telling you to use. I use them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis whenever I'm doing my book launches. And they also have access to a private community as well. And so here's a recap of what's included. So you'll get 12-month access to the course. So that way, any book you release within a timeline, you can rinse and repeat and do the strategies over and over again. You will get 60-day access to the accelerator, which includes 9 weeks of Q&A implementation calls. And so you will attend the call, you can ask all your questions, and we'll work in a group setting to be able to complete your pre-order. It includes all of my customizable templates, guides, Paula mentioned swipe files, I believe. And so all of those are available for you to be able to tweak and customize them for yourself. So it's not just copying and pasting. And then you'll get a copy of my new book, Profitable Publishing with Pre-Orders. And that has the full framework as well. And I thought that was important to include because even if you take the course or you join the accelerator, then you still can have something as a point of reference to just be able to quickly refer to, as opposed to having to go back through all the modules just to kind of refresh yourself. And then you'll get that backstage pass to my case study of my most recent pre-order, in which I made $10,500. And then you'll get bonus masterclasses that are set up to help you be successful after your pre-order is over, as well as the private community. And so at the time of this recording, for this program, there are 3 different levels that you can participate in. And let's see, my thing is stuck. Hold on, let's see what's going on. Oh, okay. Let's see, Canva's acting up. Sorry about that, y'all. There we go. All right, so you can choose which option works for you. And so the center level is the accelerator. That's the group setting. Or if you think, okay, I just want to do the lower level, I just want to do it myself and do the course just like Paula did. She had access to the course level. She didn't do the group option, and she was still able to use her current pre-order to pay for her next book's editing, which if you write adult books, you know that can be expensive. And then if you're someone who thinks, okay, I need to get this done faster, or I'm releasing sooner, I don't have the 8 weeks, and then I encourage you to sign up for the Elite VIP day, so that way we can work on it together and get it done within 1 to 3 days. Now, within this includes all of these different items that I've shared with you. So you're getting access to the course, you'll get a copy of my book, you'll get 12-month access, you will get the private case study, which includes the audio podcast, so you're able to hear the strategies that I've used, as well as cheat sheets, swipe files, all that good stuff. Now, I want to share some additional clients and then dip back into what we talked about in the challenge. And so here's Charmaine Perry Knights. She is the author of multiple books and in upwards of 30 books. And so she came to me and wanted to work with me with her niece because she was able to help her niece be able to publish her book, and she wanted her to have a successful pre-order. And so with that, we helped her to create a pre-order offer as well as to establishing and set things up so that she would attract the right readers. And they were able to do $500 in pre-sales, and that included $300 in book bundles on her site, as well as, and I need to change that because that's $600, and then an additional $300 on Amazon and Ingram Spark in book sales on those sites. So people often think, okay, if I move to my site, I have to stay there. I can't still utilize Amazon, KDP, and Ingram Spark, and that's just not the case. And so those are some of the strategies that she used as well. Now, I want to encourage you to remember that your book deserves to be successful. You deserve success as well. It makes no sense to spend all of your time and energy focusing on writing the book, editing the book, publishing the book, and then not see the results that come with that, not see the payoff for it. It's okay for you to not want to be a starving artist. It's okay for you to want to be paid handsomely for your work. And so with that, it takes time to be able to get that done. And you also want to invest in yourself, because it's not enough just to think, okay, I just have to cover publishing costs. Marketing is honestly more important than publishing, because if nobody knows your book is out, nobody knows you wrote the book, then nobody's going to buy the book. And so that's why I'm inviting you to join the Preorder Profits Accelerator. And I want to share some of the bonuses real quick. And so the first bonus I mentioned is the private podcast. And so this is my Pop and Pre-Sales private podcast. That's a mouthful. And it's a backstage pass into the pre-order process so that you can learn the strategies to boost your income. And I said that's what I'm looking to do exactly. So you can learn the strategies to boost your income. I just added the link to the chat if you'd like to sign up, and to get those updates of what I did week by week for my pre-order of my most current book. And I share nitty-gritty down to the details of things I was experiencing so that they can support you as well. And then the second bonus is the monthly master classes. And so with that, those are based upon things to help you for ongoing marketing. So I'm not somebody who believes in just sharing one thing with you. I want you to be able to be supported throughout. So those include different topics to help you with that kind of support. And so once again, you have 3 options to be able to sign up. You can do the accelerator, which means you'll work with me for 9 weeks in a group setting, as well as with the other authors that have signed up. You'll get 12-month access to the course. You'll get all my guides, templates, checklists, all that good stuff, podcasts, and those monthly bonus masterclasses. Or if you think I just need to do this on my own, I want to go at my own pace, then you're welcome to join the solo option. Or if you're on the opposite end and you think, okay, I need to get this going and do it quickly, then I encourage you to join the Elite VIP. Now, let's dip back into the recap of the challenge. And so with this, we talked about pre-order myths. And so it's so important to really look at these, because these control your thoughts, your mindsets about what's possible for you. And so one of them is that bestseller status is the most important metric. And honestly, that's just not the case. And I'll talk about why that's not the case. Then the second myth we talked about is sharing your book with everyone. It means that you're going to get more sales. And honestly, everybody's not interested in your book. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that you want to find the people that are interested. And then Amazon being the best option for pre-orders. We debunked that earlier. Hosting your site is the best option for you. And then feeling like you need to wait until your book is done to advertise. You absolutely should not do that. It makes it a lot harder. And at that point, you are likely more tired you're more tired, that sounds weird, but you are more tired than you were at the beginning, because now you've gone through the editing process, you've gone through the formatting, you might have had to do your cover design. You want to start doing your marketing before your book is done. And then thinking that, oh, just posting my book on Amazon means I'm going to get sales. Honestly, that's not the case. And if you've been on Amazon any length of time, you know that that's not the case. And then also assuming that people don't want to read your book. So authors often experience imposter syndrome, which feels as if you don't have the ability to do what you're already doing. And so I work in the program to help you kind of break through that and also understand that your book has an audience. You just have to find where they are. And so to give some examples of my own success, from having my pre-order on my website and then transitioning over to Amazon, I want to share that it's possible. And so I'm starting way back when, this was almost 5 years ago, with my first book, New Mom Thoughts. And this is a guided journal. And so within my first 2 months of releasing the book, between my pre-orders on my site and also on Amazon, I was able to sell 200 copies in 2 months. And then these are some of the stats that I got on Amazon. And then within the first 2 months, this is the amount that I made from those stats. And so starting small, baby steps. And for context, this was during the pandemic. I had a 9-month-old, and this is a book that I needed to get out because I needed the book for myself. So then 3 months later, I said, oh, let me do this again. And so I don't advise that. That's wild. But this book was already in the works before the other book was released. And so with this book, I sold 52 bundles on my website. And then on Amazon, these are the stats that I got within that first 2 months, and sold 400 copies within those first 2 months. And then this is my bestseller currently, and I'm a perpetual bestseller on Amazon. And then within the first 8 weeks, I was able to do almost $1,400 in Amazon sales. And so on my site, I did about 800, and then on Amazon, immediately after, I did 1,300. So I'm sharing this because it is possible for you to make money on your website and on Amazon. Then my next book, this is a cookbook, and so the formats that I did for this, I needed to do bulk printing, so I didn't print it with Amazon KDP. I used a overseas printer, and so still able to get those results on Amazon, even using that free metric that we know that people like to use with Kindle Unlimited to be able to get those results. So using a combination of Amazon KDP and your website can work to your advantage. Now, bestseller status should not be your main focus, though. And I say that because it changes every hour. Let me know in the chat if you didn't know that it changes every hour. So drop a 1 if you didn't know that, drop a 2 if you knew that. And it doesn't mean that you're selling a ton of books. It could mean you are. It could mean there's 1,000 people in that category. It could mean there's 0 people in that category. Hey, Cynthia. It could mean that you don't have anybody in that category. And I'm going to share some of what that looks like. So behind the scenes, this is a software called Publisher Rocket, and they share the ranking with you to see how do you actually rank in that category to get bestseller status. So looking at this, for example, this says sales to 1 and then sales to 10. So these are different categories that are listed on Amazon. Now, if I look at this one, sales to 10, I just have to sell 1 book in this category in order to get top 10 bestseller. Versus if I look at this one, I have to sell 58 books to get to top 10. Then if you look at the first one, this one is 423 books. Versus, I just got to sell 9 books. So this is the game that people play when they think about bestseller status. And I want to encourage you to think about profit instead. And so the average self-published author on Amazon makes between $1 to $5 per book if you're printing with Amazon KDP. And in contrast, I want to show what that can look like on your website if you use my pre-order profit system. And so, for example, you have the option of selling, let's say you've got 1 book for $10 and you sell, 1 book's $10 and then you sell 10 books. So that gives you $100. Then option 2, let's say you make a bundle and sell that for $50. You only have to sell 2 books to get the same amount. Like, you're doing a lot less work to get the same result. Okay, another scenario, let's say your book's $15. Selling 10 books, okay, that's $150. But let's say you create a bundle out of that. Now you've increased your average customer order value, so people are more likely to spend more money with you when they purchase, and they're going to have a better experience because the things they're buying are actually more exciting for them to purchase. And so this is something we talked about on day 4 of the challenge, and I broke down with additional examples as well, and it's something that we spend a whole module on within the course to be able to support you with that. Now, let's talk about how your book is not for everyone. So this was on day 3, and we discussed how your book isn't for everyone. It's okay that there are people who don't want to buy your book. And if you're on YouTube, you might want to check this other video out that I have. It's okay if people are not your cup of tea, if your book's not their cup of tea. Instead, you want to attract your raving fans. So that stands for people who are going to read, recommend, and review your book. So read, recommend, and review your book. And the FANS acronym stands for finding your buyers, attracting those buyers, nurturing the buyer, and then shouting them out, showing them some love. And so we talked about this, and these are some takeaways from that. And then folks shared just some of the mistakes they had made previously. And I just want to highlight that because it can be so easy to beat yourself up about, oh, I didn't know how to do this, or I should have done this better. But honestly, you didn't know better. And so when you know better, you do better. And when you do better, you get better results. And so when I did my first pre-order lesson 5 years ago, I only knew what I knew then. And so as a result, I made $1,400 and then rinsed and repeated it 3 months later, made another $800. And then years later, rinsed and repeated and made almost 10,000. And then now in this current one, I'm over 10,000. So it's like you learn what you learn and then you keep going. And so if you're someone who's thinking, okay, well, I should have done this earlier, or I could have been doing XYZ, shoulda, coulda, woulda, it's okay. You didn't know. So then we had some more breakthroughs. And so Kendra shared that she admitted yesterday during the challenge that she was focused on bestseller status, but that's because I thought it meant money. You've shown me I can be profitable with pre-sales and marketing. And in the end, profitability is what I really care about. And let me know in the chat, is that what you care about? Type profit in the chat if that's what you're worried about. Because at the end of the day, we got to pay for these publishing costs, these kids, and daycare is expensive. These groceries are expensive. And so let me not say expensive. These things keep costing money. Let me say it like that. And they're not going to stop costing money. And so it's a disservice to yourself if you are spending all of your time in your book business focusing on all the shiny object syndromes of things that are not actually going to move the needle and not spending time really dedicated to focus on making that money back to be able to replace that income. And so going back to the raving fans, these are some examples of using your book to be able to get people excited about your book, your launch, things of that sort. So these are some folks who have purchased the book. I reposted it, reshared, asked them to tag me. And then these were people that were on my street team that I gave them specific graphics that they could put up. Notice they all have the right thing and they're using it. And so it looks uniform when people are looking on different parts of social media. So this is something we talk about in the course as well, how to get people to actually advertise your book in a way that doesn't annoy them and it doesn't make you irritated to ask them. Then yesterday we talked about, so day 4 of the challenge, we talked about pre-order profits success strategies. And so allowing adequate time for your pre-order to be successful is so important. We can have all of these big, bold, audacious goals and then not give the time for those goals to come to fruition and then be upset that we didn't reach that goal. And it's like, well, if you wanna sell $10,000 worth of books or bundles, I should say, you have to have time to plan that out. You have to have time to be able to let that ride out. And so, excuse me, let me get a sip of water. You have to have time to let that play out. And so give yourself the time, give yourself the support and the resources to get that done, and don't feel like you have to just do this by yourself. Then we talked about not being afraid to promote your books. And so with that, I don't know where this comes from. Actually, I do know where it comes from. I think authors often are very introverted and they don't always want to share their stuff. But if you don't share your work, no one's going to know that it exists. And if you don't share your work, that means somebody else is less happy, someone is less freed, someone's kid does not have something to read. Your books are important. And so giving them the proper energy and the proper time to be able to go out in the spaces they need to be in is so important. And then having a book launch. So not just saying that you need to release, or not just saying, oh, I put my book up on Amazon, go buy it. No. That's a disservice to you and to your book. You spent months, years, however long, writing that book, creating that book, and then you spend a day, 2 days a week letting people know about that book. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Consistently following up. You want to consistently follow up with your readers and let them know what's going on, as well as with your customers so they can be in the loop. And then, as I mentioned before, we talked about book bundles, and I'm going to show you a few examples of book bundles as well. Now, this is Deshawn Creswell. She's a client of mine. We created her pre-order for her and worked together for her to develop her book launch party. And so with that, she had 70 party attendees, and she did something that was really unique. We developed a plan with her to be able to host a grown and sexy book launch party because though her book is a children's book for upper elementary, the people who are buying children's books are adults. And so she knew that she needed to do something to attract them. And so she was able to include a ticket to the event with a copy of the book. And she sold $2,800 worth of pre-sales. And to do that, she went live and talked about her book, just like Paula mentioned earlier. as well as did an unboxing, promoting on social media, and using all the strategies that I talk about within the Pre-Order Profits program. Now, benefits of book bundles. If you are not already convinced, I want to give you a few more reasons why you should be bundling your book with other products and services. And it's because you can increase your average customer order value. So instead of someone just purchasing just the book, they might purchase a bundle. As well, you can enhance your experience for your reader. So that means that you are able to make it a better experience for them. So for example, this is a book bundle that I created for my cookbook. And within it, I'm going to go back to show you the little details. It has different components that are going to help them to be able to use the cookbook. So I've included a Sharpie, which has the which I included a green Sharpie because the pages for the cookbook are coded. So that means when you cook, your pages are not going to smudge. They're not going to, the ink's not going to come off. So they needed a Sharpie to be able to write on that. And in the cookbook, I've also included a rating scale. So if they like the recipe, notes of things they want to change. Then I added a scripture card because this is a faith-based cookbook. And so on the back of it, I also invite them to leave a review. Then I just had a cute little decorative cross paper clip to be able to hold their page. These are some sticky flags, so if there's certain recipes they know they want to cook. This is a bookmark. And then these are just some book business cards. But then I included a faith sticker because during the Daniel fast, people are focusing on building their faith. And then this was a thank you card to let them know how to use each of the different items, as well as a heartfelt note on the back. And so with this, when you are developing your bundles for your reader, it can be where you are helping them to be able to have a better experience with your book, as well as encouraging sales, because somebody would really love to get all of that, and it was kind of wrapped up behind this. And then that's where you can put your extra swag. It also is a way to cover the cost of those extra swag, like all the different promotional materials. You can cover that with the cost of the bundle. It increases your profit. And then it also makes it possible for you to be able to print your book in bulk. So because I mentioned this is a spiral, I had a spiral hardcover and a paperback. All of them had premium paper, and the hardcover and paperback were lay flat. So that means the pages didn't like flop up when you lay it down, which is important when you're cooking so you can see what you're doing. And so being very intentional about what I'm including for my reader is important to me. And so with that, because I did a pre-order, I was able to cover the cost of publishing and printing for those books. So I didn't have to come out of pocket for very long to be able to pay for those things. And so when you're doing that, you can do all these different additions. You can do spiral, you can add page dividers, you can do foil. Pre-orders make it possible for you to be profitable when you set them up properly. Now, this is my first bundle, just to kind of give you some contrast. And so this included a keepsake kit for new moms, because this is a journal for new moms to be able to document their first year with their child. And all the different knickknacks that I included were in here. And instead of charging just $11 for the guided journal, I was able to charge $27 for this. And so we do talk about bundling within the course, but it's something where you can do digital products, you can do physical products, but whatever you choose to do, prioritize profit. Now, throughout the challenge, I also gave examples of multiple stories. Some of these you've heard here, some of these you haven't. Maybe you've been with me before, but I want to share one more from Essie.
Hi there, Essie Faye Taylor here, Amazon #1 bestselling author, as well as a 5-time self-published author. I'm here to sing the praises of Ashley Shep. She is amazing. I've hired her as a coach in my pocket, as well as a marketing coach, and she has just been incredible in her just her gift of nurturing my gifts and talents, and also just coaching and teaching me ways to launch my books, and also ways to bundle my books for maximum profit. And so if you're wondering, hey, who can I have to help me with my launch, my book launch? Who can I help to help me publish? Who can I hire to help me publish or self-publish? Ashley is your girl. She has the receipts, and she's down to earth and approachable. She's also very professional, and I really appreciate her skill and her willingness and flexibility to work with me. So if you're wondering if you should hire her. You won't regret it. Thanks, Ashley.
Essie is so funny and so sweet. She is a former coaching client of mine, and she has dozens of books now. And so it's just exciting to see how clients are doing even after they work with me. And so I just want to ask you, if all this program did was to give you the confidence to start to put yourself out there to host your first or your next pre-order, would it be worth it? And if all this did was to show you how to avoid costly mistakes that are blocking your income, would that be worth it? And then lastly, if all this did was to give you a bird's eye view of the process, walking alongside an expert, completing the same process with you at the same time, asking all of your questions, getting that feedback, then would it be worth it? And if nothing else that you've gotten out of this training, whether you joined the full challenge or this recap, I want to ask you to rewire your brain about what is possible for pre-selling your book. And I also want you to be mindful that there are over 4 million books that get released each year. And I'm only asking you to spend $1,800 to make sure yours is one of the successful ones that gets seen. And so with that, you can participate in my Pre-Order Profits Accelerator so that you can get the right structure, the right plan in place, and so you can actually get paid before your book comes out. There is nothing like having your book paid for before it gets released. It makes marketing so much fun. It makes it so much easier for you to be able to talk about your book because you're not stressed about whether or not people are going to purchase it. And so instead of trying to go it on your own, you could work with a community of others achieving the same goal. You could know how to host a book launch that attracts your readers. You can you can attract instead of chase your readers. We don't want to spend time chasing our folks. We want them to come to us. We want to be magnets for them. We want to be lights and cities on a hill so that they can be attracted to us instead of trying to spend all of our time chasing after folks. And you can get feedback while you're going through the process of your launch. So that way you don't have to wonder if you're doing something right. As well, it is so important, especially now more than ever, to have a backup plan if Amazon shuts down your account or if these boycotts continue, because just the reality of it right now is that authors are seeing their sales tank on Amazon KDP, Amazon in general, because people are boycotting the platforms or whatever the case may be. So you also want to have a system that you can repeat over and over each time you release your book. So just a reminder, because these offers are going away on Sunday, you are going to get a bonus in the you're going to get a bonus in terms of my Pop and Pre-Sales private podcast, and it is a backstage pass, like being a fly on the wall as I created my current pre-order for my book, Profitable Publishing with Pre-Order, sorry y'all. Makes out the website name in the book. And then you're also going to get bonus masterclasses to help you to be able to continue on your journey even after you are done with your pre-order, so you can have continuous sales. And then as a fast action bonus, if you sign up by tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, so tomorrow is Friday, then I'm actually going to add on 2 weeks of one-on-one coaching with me. And this can be about pre-orders, it can be about your marketing, it can be about publishing. You can pick my brain and ask me whatever you want to ask me. And that's a $300 value, so that way you can get all the questions that you have answered in addition to having a successful pre-order. So once again, I just want to share what's included. At the accelerator level, you'll get the 12-month course. You'll get the accelerator with me, which includes weekly calls with myself and the group members who are going to be participating with you, creating their own pre-order at the same time. You'll be able to get the guides, templates, and the support that you need to be able to create your pre-order without having to do everything from scratch. You're also going to get a copy of my new book, Profitable Publishing with Pre-Orders. You'll get access to the private podcast, as well as 3 bonus masterclasses to support you and the community with others. So, depending upon what level works for you, then definitely consider your lifestyle, consider what it is that you are trying to accomplish, and consider the pace that you are looking for. So, for example, if you're trying to hit that 10K mark or you're trying to hit beyond that, then you really want to make sure that you are giving the proper time and attention to this. On the flip side, if you think, okay, I know I have a busy schedule, I want to be able to do this when I can do it, then the course is going to be a better option for you because you can watch it at whatever time works for your schedule. And then if you're someone who's like, I would really just prefer that Ashley do my pre-order for me, then the VIP option is for you because we'll work together. I'll get what I need from you to be able to create your social media posts, your emails, things of that sort to be able to get your pre-order running smoothly. You approve it, and then I send it back to you. Now, this is for you if you want a proven strategy to generate revenue and validate your book concept at the same time. And this is also for you if you don't want to pay out of pocket for your publishing costs And not necessarily always because you just maybe can't afford it, but it could be that you just don't want to. It's a boss move when you can say that my pre-orders paid for my publishing. Like, it makes it so much easier to publish the next time because you already know. Just like Paula told us earlier, she used her previous pre-order to pay for her next book. And it's also a great way to create your own advance as an author. A lot of us self-published authors, we never tried to go the traditionally published route, but knowing that we can get those funds legally, ethically, get those funds, then it just makes it like another thing that makes self-publishing a good choice for us. And you want to build an engaged audience before your book even hits the shelves. So when I tell you that when you use these strategies, they work, I have people who are sharing my book who I didn't ask to share the book. They just are reposting it, and I appreciate them. Shout out to y'all. So it's just something where when you have the strategy and people see what you're doing, they gravitate towards you and they want to support you. And then lastly, if you are like, I am not waiting on crowdfunding to decide whether or not I can get my money, and I don't want to wait on Amazon KDP to give me money 60 days later for my pre-order, or 60 days after my pre-order is finished, then I need to take the step and make that move. And so now let's move over to pre-order best practices. And if you'd like to join, I'm going to put the link in the checkout, the link to the checkout in the chat. So pre-order best practices, these are some strategies to remember to help you along your path, and we are almost finished. So these are the last few takeaways. So if you had questions, drop them in the chat. I want to make sure I answer them. I'll come back later to check if there's anybody that watches the replay and adds questions there. But you want to plan out your pre-sale properly and time it with your book publishing date. Now, this can be tricky if you've never done it before. There are a lot of factors that happen with publishing, and there are a lot of factors that happen with your marketing. And so going it alone is not always the best option because you can actually decrease your customer satisfaction and also make mistakes if you haven't done this process before. You want to be transparent with your customers during the journey so they know what to expect. You want to be in contact with them via email, social media, text message, all these different platforms, so that way you can make sure that they understand that you haven't fallen off the face of the earth, that you're there and that you're consistent with them so they know what to expect. And then you're going to test out your shipping weights and your packages so you can make sure that you're charging properly. Within the course, I do share a time of where I undercharged and then I had to pay an extra $200 for my shipping during my first book launch during the pandemic. And thankfully, I had the money to cover it because I hosted a profitable pre-order on my website. And then lastly, creating book bundles to increase the amount people spend at checkout. And so these are the success strategies. I did pretty much a recap there. So allowing adequate time for execution, starting your pre-sale at the right time, showing up for yourself, having a book launch, and being consistent. So that brings us to the end of this quick and dirty training. I tried to talk fast so that I could condense everything from the 4 to 5 hours from the days of the challenge down into this shorter condensed version. And so if you're over on YouTube, you can watch it slower and slow down the speed. But I wanted to give a recap of the high points of the challenge. This isn't, of course, everything, because you would have needed to attend the challenge for those, but you can get access to the replays if that's what you would like. I'll add that into the chat, and then you can just visit preorderprofits.com and then sign up for VIP, and then you'll still be able to have access to those. But if you know that you want to work with me and you know that you want to have a profitable pre-order, then I encourage you to join the accelerator for Preorder Profits, so that way you can have a clear-cut idea of what it is that you need to do to create a pre-order that pays you before your book is out. All right, I'm going to check the chat and see if there are any questions that I can answer for you. Oh, also, I meant to mention, if you have questions that you don't want to put in the chat, or you just want to ask me something specific about pre-orders, or you're like, I'm not exactly sure, or does the program include this, then there is actually an overview video at the site at preorderprofits.com/join. But you can also shoot me a text, and my number's here on the screen. And so you can use that to be able to just ask your questions that you have. I'm not somebody who's a hard fast seller. It's, if this is an opportunity that works for you, come on, let's do it. If it's not the time, then that's totally okay. But I do want to help those authors who are committed and who are serious about getting this done, so that way they can have a repeatable system they can use for each book that they release. So, all right. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat. So thank you so much for joining, and hope you all have a great day.